2017. Sorry we're running a little late. Just a lot of excitement in the room today. And our first order of business will be our invocation led by Reverend Don Hanna, and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Stillwell. Let's all rise.
Join me in prayer. Lord, I thank you for our county, for seeing us through the storms of this weekend. Lord, guide our commissioners this day and continue to bless and be with us, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioners, our first act of business today is the approval of the minutes from January 10th. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Goddard. Do I get a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Pickens. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good. Now we're going to stop for just a moment, and we are going to honor someone who is near and dear to Putnam County's heart, who passed away. I would like to invite all the commissioners to come forward. Mr. Starr, we're all going to stand here. Commissioners, come on down with me.
Sure didn't want to stay up here, Larry?
You can if you like.
They're going to get right here. Let's do it. Let them stand
And
right.
commissioners, if it's okay with you, I've asked some of our prior commissioners to help read the proclamation today in honor of Wes,
Commissioner
okay?
Harris.
We have Commissioner Harris with us, Commissioner Revels, Commissioner Flagg, and Commissioner Eubanks. Rusty, will you come up? Mr. Bates, I'd like for you to come up too. You were instrumental in hiring Wes. Dana, would you like to come up and be a part? And where's John Browning? I know he was here. John, please come up also. All right. And if we can, we'll gather around back here. Everybody spread out. And Mr. Revels, everybody has a part to play, or some of you do, so you can go first, sir. Thank you.
This is quite an honor for me. I knew Wes most of my life, and they gave me this sheet to read, and I will read it, but I want to say one word about Wes. He had the hardest job in Putnam County, to bring industry to Putnam County. We had no interstate, no four-lane highway, one railroad, and the county didn't have any money. Of course, they still don't have no money. But anyway, but he did his job because he loved Putnam County. Anyway, whereas on Saturday, January 14th, 2017, transit of Charles Wesley Wes Larson came to sad news to his many friends throughout Putnam County. Whereas we served as chamber executive for 32 years, the final 25 of these was chamber president of Putnam County. Thank you.
I wanted to say a few words about Wes too, but let me read the proclamation now. Whereas at the request of the Putnam County Board of Commissioners, Wes served as the designated planning and permitting coordinator for Phase 1 of the Putnam County Business Park and was significantly involved in the Putnam County Economic Development Council, Putnam County's public-private partnership for economic development.
Good morning. I've known Wes, and I'll read my part too. I'd like to say something with your permission, Chair. I was there right after Wes Larson was hired in 1985. Ben Bates and some other men knew that this county couldn't go on trying to do it by themselves. They had to have a concerted effort. They hired Wes Larson, And through his education and his experience, he guided Putnam County to where we are today. He knew that what we worked on today wouldn't come tomorrow, but down the road a ways. It takes a long time for economic development to hit its mark. Through his guidance, you've seen some of the industries, Lafarge, Sykes, Steak Shavings that hardly anybody knows about down in Crescent City, CDR Systems. We had those industries because of Wes Larson and the efforts of this community and the business community of the Chamber of Commerce. With that, I'll do it. He's been a lifelong friend of mine for over 30 years plus. I'll leave this with you. Towards the end of his life, his only effort in his Christianity was to bring his friends and those that he knew to Christ. He done a good job, and this county will sorely miss Wes Larson. Whereas those efforts garnered the attention of legislators in Tallahassee, economic development organizations that grew to recognize and respect the expertise as one step in knowledge about rural economic development. And whereas Wes Larson developed Putnam County's Job Growth Incentive Ordinance, which offers incentives for targeted businesses choosing to create jobs in Putnam County, as well as expanding it for existing industries.
Whereas Wes was instrumental in the passage of Putnam County's Tourist Development Tax, which provides funding and supports tourism activities for the county.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners that Tuesday, January 24th, 2017, is hereby declared a day of celebration of his life and service in Putnam County, and the board's deepest sympathy is hereby expressed to the family of Charles Wesley Wes Larson. Putnam County will greatly miss him. Fellow commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to accept this proclamation.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Commissioner Lible. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Goddard, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ben, would you start off and then we'll go?
I didn't know I was going to speak, but I guess I'm the only living person that was part of the committee that interviewed and hired Wes Larson in 1985. I was president-elect of the chamber that year, and Bunky Roberts was the president of the chamber. We knew at that point that we had to do something if we wanted Putnam County to have any economic development. Folks, you may think that economic development is just easy to do, and we love our county, and we think all we've got to do is just tell people about Putnam County, and they're going to flock here. But let me assure you, the most competitive business in the United States is economic development, because every state and every city, every town, every community is doing the same thing you are. And in a lot of cases, they have a lot more tools in their toolbox than we do. It's very, very competitive. We were not known, Putnam County was not known in Tallahassee in economic development. When Wes Larson was hired, he brought a new growth and a new system into our county. One of the first things that we did in 1986 was we did a fundraiser, and it was called Forward Putnam. Some of you may remember that. And our goal was to raise $650,000 from the public sector for economic development. And we did that in 1986. Danny Martinez and Howard Gardner was the co-chairs of that effort. Danny was in Atlanta at the time with Georgia Pacific, and Howard Gardner was president, chairman of the board of Florida Furniture. And we were successful in doing that. And one of the first things that we did as a group was we had a company by the name of Fanis do a study of our county to show us what we had to do in order to position ourselves to make it happen. When they did their study, and a lot of that money went to that study, there was 52 liabilities that this county had and 2 or 3 assets, folks. So our job in 1987, I believe it was to begin a program to overcome those 52 liabilities and turn them into assets. When Wes Larson retired, and Dana, you correct me if I'm wrong, but when Wes Larson retired, we just finished turning the 52nd one into an asset from a liability. It is not an overnight deal. I've heard talk about a spec building. The reason the spec building was built out in the industrial park, if you're going to compete, you have to have a vacant building. If you don't have the vacant building, you don't even get looked at. In the economic world, when a company is looking at relocating, they hire consultants. Those consultants are eliminating people. And if you don't have a certain size vacant building available, you are automatically eliminated from day one. A lot of good things have happened. We expect more good things to happen. There were several projects that Wes worked on that it looks like one of them may come to fruition here in the very near future. We'll know real quick, and that's at Seminole. Another one was a distribution center down in Crescent City. That was all politics, but that would have meant an awful lot for this county. Some 600 to 1,000 jobs, some little less than $80 million in capital improvements would have made a tremendous difference in our county and for the south end of the county. So a lot of good things are happening. Wes Larson did an unbelievable job, and I think Mr. Revel was right. He had a tough job trying to please everybody, but he did a pretty good job of it, and we're better off because of the efforts of Wes Larson. Thanks.
I hate to follow that. That was eloquent. Wes Larson, when I wanted to get involved with politics, I'd done a lot with the person running for governor. He met me and said, go into transportation. I said, okay. Well, here I am 20-some years later. The first day back from Tallahassee, he and John Newhouse met me at the old Holiday Inn and said, we need to talk to you. He said, John, what we've got to have is a 4-lane highway. At that time, believe it or not, we had no 4-lane highways coming through Palatka. And he said, we want a 4-lane highway on 17. We need a 4-lane highway on 207. And we need a 4-lane highway to the south. And I said, really? And that much? Oh, yes. He was a forward thinker. He had a vision for Palatka. And he planted the seeds. And what I found being in Tallahassee, and most of everybody here has, we've got to put the seeds now. We don't have to agree on everything. But if we can look to the future, and what do we have? To 20-some years later, we have Highway 17 because of his thinking. I went back and pushed, and other people did, and all the people here. And we have 207, and we're going to get Highway 17. Those you can really contribute back to the seeds that Wes Larson planted, and he planted a lot more, and we all just got to look to the things he showed us and keep going. We're doing great. Thank you.
I'm not going to let you off.
I knew you wouldn't. Well, his career was certainly as successful as you have all heard, but probably the most important is Wes was a great man and an awesome boss. And I'm not going to share his work details. There are way too many, and I would be here all day, and I know there's some business at hand. But thank you for being here and honoring Wes Larson, certainly a deserving individual. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes Larson was my friend and mentor. I first met Wes when I was serving on the board of directors of the chamber when Ben's committee made the recommendation to us that we hire Wes. And I was so green at that time, I didn't know what all I didn't know. And Wes taught me so much. And he taught us about economic development, how important it is, and that we need primary jobs and what they were, and what the businesses, the manufacturing jobs, and the industries that were here, what good community partners they could be, and it made us all stronger. We attended many annual retreats where businessmen and women would take the whole weekend off, and we would brainstorm about what we need in Putnam County and what's important. And many of those years, it surprised me that education was the top of the list. We learned from Wes that we had to look at everything an industry would look at to come here. And for instance, would you, as the owner of an industry, want to live here and raise your family here? So everything that affects us affects those industries, and we needed that infrastructure, and it was quite a learning process and a long time to put those things together, as has been stated. It didn't take long to know Wes before you realized that he was a man of faith, that he loved his family, and he even had room to love Putnam County. One thing I wanted to mention about the Walmart distribution center, Wes worked so hard on that. I know that he had help, but there were so many hoops to jump through, so much to put that together. And it's not there now, but we got the zoning and they purchased the land. I believe that it is still coming. And I hope when it gets here that we will remember Wes. One other little thing that I want to say. After I got off the board of directors of the chamber, I decided that I wanted to get involved in doing something for my community, and I ran for the position of a city commissioner in Crescent City. After I got that position, I got the nicest note from Wes. He said that he congratulated me on stepping out there and doing it. He said that he believed in me and encouraged me, and he was so pleased that I did it. Well, in my office in Crescent City, I have a closet, and in that closet is a file cabinet. And the first thing I put on that cabinet was my note from Wes. I have pictures and special notes, and whenever I have a bad day, I open that closet and read those things that were so meaningful. And I think as we go through life, that there are just a few people who really make a dynamic difference in our lives. And Wes was one of those people for me. And there's so many things that he has done that we don't even know that he's done. But he has been such a good support for all of us in Putnam County. Thanks.
Good morning. Again, I would like to echo the sentiments that have been shared among us today. It's almost like singing to the choir, because Wes Larson, a gentle giant, a man who was meek but not weak, a man who was determined to leave our community better than he found it. And that's part of the problems that we have now. There's not enough people that are willing to bring all of the diverse issues and ideas together to forge us forward, to make us better, make us stronger, and make us wiser. Wes had an acronym, INNW, and I thought his spell check was not working. When I saw that, I'm like, this is not a word, but the acronym was simply, if not now, when. And he was a man who believed in vision. He was a man who believed in the future of Putnam County. And I encourage all of us to model Wes Larson from the perspective of working together. We can be so much stronger, so much better if we would work together. Many times we have different ideas, and someone has to be that catalyst to pull us together from every angle, from every ideology and things of that nature. So please, let's memorialize Wes. Let's remember, let's reflect, let's reminisce upon his legacy in the days to come so that Putnam County can move forward. Thank you.
Years ago, we had a West Putnam Chamber of Commerce, and it disbanded and we became part of the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And if you think I move fast now, I moved a lot faster then. And Wes was one of those guys that would harness my energy, put me in the right path, and try to smooth off those rough edges, and took a chance on me. And the chamber bestowed on me the Small Businessman of the Year award for West Putnam. And my friend Danny Hemphill came in after that and got it. And I was also chairman-elect in 2012 because they did take a chance on me. Chamber business is hard business. And Wes had a dream for all of Putnam County. He had a dream for West Putnam also. And we didn't see that come to pass yet, but it will one day. And we all just got to keep rowing in the boat. And Wes taught me to work together and try to make Putnam County a better place. And Wes, I appreciate that very much. Rusty?
Believe it or not, folks, I'm the prepared part of this, so I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody to sit down. And as they sit down, let me just say that you got a little glimpse this morning by hearing those fine people speak that Wes had a good team here as well. A lot of times Wes simply put out the vision. And then the other comment I would make is if anybody has anything they want to open, you want Nancy Harris to be there to speak. And somebody talked about the seeds that Wes planted. One of those seeds we should all be very proud of is Dana Jones, who was a longtime staffer for Wes, who has taken our Chamber of Commerce and taken the reins of it since Wes left and done an outstanding job. When I sat down to write something about Wes Larson, one thought kept blocking my mind. It was hard for me to imagine that my friend was gone from this earth. I would not be able to call him and set up a lunchtime meeting to discuss what was happening in the world. At such meetings, Wes was always more up to speed on local matters than I was. We were pretty equal on things of the world, but as I told someone recently, I must admit I do not read the newspaper every day like I used to. I'm retired after all. When I arrived in town, the first local person to greet me outside of the newspaper staff was a banker who wanted my home mortgage. But Wes was not far behind. He set up meeting after meeting for me to meet the people that I needed to know in Putnam County. Wes's eyes glistened when one of the community leaders told me that it appeared that I was going to be very active in the community. But it was the same look that Wes had on his face when that person told me to do whatever I wanted, but don't try a 1-cent sales tax. We've tried it 4 times, the community leader said, and failed every time. We cannot afford to smear that egg on our face again. I knew right then that Wes was going to convince me to make another try. He kidnapped me for a meeting in Jacksonville where I heard Mayor Delaney talk about how they pulled off voters' approval of the Better Jacksonville plan. I went to Delaney right after he finished talking and told him I wanted to do the same thing in Putnam County. He said, don't reinvent the wheel. When the time comes to start, he said, that I should come back to him and he would process and give me and provide access to everything that made Jacksonville's efforts successful. He was as helpful as he promised, and thanks to former County Commissioner Brad Purcell, the Better Place Plan was passed in 2002. It was another example of Wes putting me in front of knowledge that I had to act upon, and I had to try to convince our community to act upon as well. When I arrived in Palatka, the Chamber of Commerce building had broken and drooping shutters. After meeting with Wes and a few others, I called Wes one day and told him to buy new shutters and I would pay half the cost. But I told him that he had to tell John Browning that he had to pay the other half. I told him I wasn't going to call John, he'd call John. I soon discovered that Wes had a dream of a better chamber headquarters. He accomplished that in the same year that Lafarge came to town and the same year that we attracted Sykes to open a call center in the new business park, which of course you heard today that the business park wouldn't have been there without Wes's vision. Any professional industrial recruiter would call the Sykes project catching a big one. We caught a lot of small ones in his time as the community's main industrial recruiter, but Wes did a rare thing by capturing 2 big ones. Little did he suspect that Governor Charlie Crist would delay the Walmart distribution center. I say delay because at some point I believe Walmart will move forward with something at the South Putnam location. The professional industrial recruitment that Wes led this community to establish things that will well serve us well into the future. It was a great example of a true public-private partnership. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Commerce's side of Wes's operation won numerous honors as an outstanding chamber. After Wes's retirement, the chamber won the 5-star award, and Wes was very proud of that, of our chamber for continuing and building upon earlier successes. You also heard that Wes established a professional tourism effort in our county. It was another example of a rural chamber of commerce making things happen that usually only happen in bigger cities. As we all should know, Wes was the most effective lobbyist in Tallahassee for small and rural counties. Most of the current laws that guide the state on small counties are the work of Wes Larson with the help of former state representative Joe Pickens. Most of all, Wes was a servant. He had 2 careers in his life. After playing on a Gator championship baseball team, Wes went into the Navy and retired with more than 20 years. He then went to work at the chamber in Gainesville, and a few wise people decided that Wes should spend another 25 plus years as the top executive at the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. His impact on our community will last much longer than his term of service. He knew how to serve. He knew how to get the most out of volunteers. One of the last opportunities Wes gave me to earn that glistening in his eye was another meeting that he kidnapped me to Jacksonville to attend. And I must admit, it was a very boring meeting about regional transportation issues, and I was dozing off a little bit. And then the person leading the meeting asked everybody around this huge round table to share their thoughts. And I think my blood sugar was probably a little high by the time it got to me, and when my blood sugar's high, I'll tell you the truth. And I went into an impassioned plea that the transportation officials would realize that the Shands Bridge was an unfair blockade to Putnam County. And I think the current plan now calls for the new 9B to have a new bridge and the Shands Bridge to be taken out of use. And it's far beyond the time that that should have happened, but that was another seed that Wes planted in me. So today I ask you to join me in saying goodbye to my friend Wes. He was a friend indeed to all of those who call Putnam County home. I wish I could call him for lunch. Instead, I call now for a moment of silence in memory of Wes Larson, a true servant to our nation, to our community, and to his God. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, former commissioners. Commissioners, is there any comments you'd like to make before?
I would like to, it was hard to hold back a clap on the Shands Bridge, thank you. And he did have great vision, it does hold us back. Yes, John, we're waiting.
Well, it's good to have Commissioner Flagg, Commissioner Revels, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Eubanks in the audience today. John Browning, certainly good to have you. And Dana and your staff, thank you very much. And Mr. Bates,
Mr. Pellicer, I believe I see
Mr.
walk in.
Pellicer, did you pop in?
You did.
Oh, I didn't see you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Pellicer. Thank you for being here also. All right, we will move on into our agenda. The next item of business, Commissioner, if you can hang around for just a moment. Employer of the Quarter Recognition, Larry Gast.
Commissioners, this is Mr. Eddie Bryant. He's been with us almost 2 years now. He is one of those employees that you rarely find. When we had an opening, we hired him originally as a driver to carry the waste back and forth from the convenience centers. We had an opening in the landfill. He wanted to move up and move into the landfill. What made the decision so hard is the man does such a great job. How do you replace him? You can't replace him. He is the kind of individual that continuously helps everyone. His coworkers, customers, his supervisor. Whoever needs assistance, the man is always there. You need something done, he's the first one to volunteer. Doesn't matter which kind of job it is, an easy job or the hardest job you have. He's the kind of person that always steps forward and wants to take that action. He is one of the best assets that we have in the county.
Congratulations on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. Look, there you go. I think there's money in it.
Thank you.
Commissioners, if it would be okay with you, while the other commissioners are still in the room, I'd like to move item 5 up above number 4. Would that be okay, Mr. Lear?
I agree.
Okay. Mr. Curry, would you please come forward, Mr. Hadaway? And I'll meet you at the podium. Commissioner Palisier, would you please come forward? Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Flagg?
Well, this has been a long time coming of, excuse me, getting work done on Highway 216, and some of the commissioners, past commissioners, have absolutely stepped up and supported us in trying to make this effort. And when the investment has been decided to invest in Highway 216 to help from not only a safety perspective, but also a better highway for the county, we were short as a county to have enough money to finish the job the way we'd like to see it, to eliminate the blockage on the end of the highway and so on. And so I went to my bosses in Atlanta, and they said, no, it's not unusual for us to chip in. So today I'm here to present half of the payment we'll make towards improvements on Highway 216 to the tune of $175,000.
Come up here. District 2. Everybody hold their hand out.
Nancy, would you move it? Would you move it? Turn that check around, Larry. Be proud of it.
You got that upside down now.
Okay.
There, now, I am proud of it. We just want to give you account numbers out.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you all. And you might want to mention that's the first of 2, the total.
Total's $350,000.
Thank you. You got it? Did you get?
Tommy, will you move in between?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
there you go.
Mr. Wood, would you like to come be a part?
Sure.
always forget you over there, and I apologize for that.
I'm an outlier anyway.
You're so quiet out there.
Very good. Big smiles. You get money.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
I guess I have to give the check to you, is that correct?
Well, it'll end up
Or does it go to
John.
Hey,
I'm watching where it's going.
our comptroller jumped in really quick. Thank you, sir.
We did. We all worked on that one a long time, and the road needed help. The shoulders looked like the moon surface, and I'm proud to say that is a very important road, and it moves goods and services like we all expect. We were just talking about the success of the Chamber of Commerce, and this is the prime example. We've got to take care of that infrastructure and keep, and our community partners are ever more important, and they stepped up.
And this was a partnership with three. It was the state of Florida, the county, and Georgia Pacific.
That's right.
And we really appreciate that. And that we all know the Mill Road, we call it the Mill Road, needed repairs for a long time. And it's good to have you as partners. And we thank you for all you've done for Putnam County. For those of you who don't know, my grandfather came out of where Mr. Curry's from, Plattsburgh, New York, to start the tissue side of Hudson Pulp and Paper at that time. So that's how the Harveys came to Palatka. And my grandfather lived over here in Roselle, had a minimal education, but one of the smartest men I've ever known in my life. Had a lot of forethought of how things were done, and wound up to be superintendent of tissue converting and retired from then Georgia Pacific. And my father worked out there. Little telling me I was supposed to work out there, but I didn't want to do anything my father said to do, so I wasn't going to do it. So thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Mr.
Sheriff
Chairman,
Deloach?
Mr. Chairman.
there is an agreement associated with this item that needs to be approved and executed.
Oh, yes, okay. Commissioners, I apologize for that, I got caught up in the excitement. We do have a item on our agenda that we need to,
Mr.
yes, Mr.
Chairman, I'd like to move approval, execution of this agreement.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Lible,
A second.
second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Got kind of caught up in our moment there.
Yeah.
Let's see, next thing. I do want to take a moment. Sheriff Deloach has to leave, and I just want to say to you publicly, Sunday, one of his deputies come knocking on the doors in our neighborhood, parked his car down the road and walked the neighborhood. Somebody was out breaking into cars in my neighborhood the night before, and he was alerting us. His name is Deputy Doug Kennedy. Sheriff, thank you, and let him know we appreciate that in the community, okay? Thank you. All right, let's move on to our public comment. I have one card here, Mrs. Faye Sparkman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have some good news today. If I could please have Preston and Mr. Michael come, I'd like to say something to them.
Okay, press. Mr. Tompkins, is he here in the room? Yeah. Mike Nimitz, would you come up? These two are our Public Works officials. Press runs Public Works as the director, and Mike Nimitz is the second, I guess, in command there.
Okay, I have something special to say to them, and Mr. Lible, you should know how many years I worked on getting Flamingo Boulevard and Twin Lakes done, thanks to these two guys. Art Walker Construction Company started it last Thursday, worked on Friday morning from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Yesterday, they put down stripes and that thing where you're supposed to stop. It's not done yet, but it's the best construction I've ever seen. I looked at their other road off at 20, and that is one of the best companies to put paving down I've ever seen. But thank you two for listening.
Thank you.
It
Thank
looks
you very
good.
much.
I saw it Saturday.
I was out there last night. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else with blue cards? Mr. Kilber, if you'll give it to Tony, you don't have to have a blue card just to speak to us, but it's helpful. Mr. Kilber, would you give your name and address, please?
Ed Killebrew, 146 Barton Estates Circle. I just wanted to stand before you all this morning. I know at the last meeting, somebody stood up and said something about Barton Road. As the former commissioners who are here in the room, they had a lot to do with that, and I'd like to recognize them. You know, Ms. Harris, Pastor Flagg, Mr. Palacier, along with the current board. Barden Road has been paved up to what we call the Dairy Road out there. I think it's Old Stark Road or something out there like that. Last time something was said about the condition of the shoulders or something that wasn't in quality, that one of the other residents of the county came up and said something about that. I'd like you to know, as a resident and a poor old carpet cleaner here in Putnam County, that we love Barden Road now. I mean, that portion was paved. I had some reservations at the beginning. I addressed them with Commissioner Lible. He went to the head, I forget his name right now, the head of the one just up here. They addressed my concerns, told me what was going to go on. The company that came up there, or that y'all sent out there, Halifax Paving, did a wonderful job. I mean, the only thing I can say that they did wrong was their traffic control was a little, and then I called the sheriff's department, and they got that straightened out. So I just wanted to say thank you very much from the community of Barden. Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
think,
Ward.
Ed, they have a foot extension on each side of that road, if I could brag about that.
And they're going back, and that was another thing, the shoulders, the condition of the shoulders, they're going back with the places that the road just dropped off into the ditch. There's now a shoulder that, you know, I've seen people.
Mr. Tompkins is addressing additional issues from those new shoulders for drainage purposes.
Right. I mean, I've seen people on the side, when they call themselves being on the side of the road, was actually in the middle of Barden Road because they didn't have a way to pull off.
Right.
And now there's a shoulder there that they can get off the side of the road. But I just wanted to, again,
And
thank
Ed,
you.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I brought some issues up about the striping on some of the residents had problems, and we were going to address that too. So we're not completely done, and we'd like to see Barden Road continued on past Old Dairy Road.
Well, and you'll talk about the commerce with 216. People don't realize, they look at Barden Road and say, there's not a lot of people out there, why are y'all repaving that? But the commerce come out of those woods to get to the commerce you're talking about on 216, and that does a lot of damage to that road. So, you know, we as citizens have to deal with that for 10, 20 years down the road, and then we get potholes and everything like that.
If I can, the employee from Halifax I spoke with while the paving was going on was amazed at the amount of semis and log trucks and commercial vehicles. He said, where are these people going?
Right. Well, you have a chicken farm down there that they, you know, trucks go to it constantly. Then you had the pulpwood trucks coming out of there, and the support trucks for the two stores out there, and then the support trucks for the pulpwooders themselves.
Yeah. Right.
So there's a lot of industry that comes in and out of them woods that people don't stop and think about.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else from the public would like to speak to us? All right, seeing none, we'll move into, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up, Ms. Week. Sheriff, thank you. Thank you.
Roxana Regan Weeks, Palaca, Florida. I wanted to say that I was just really flabbergasted by the meltdown that the idea of a charter caused here. Anything we suggested, there was no idea of consolidating the cities in Putnam into one big county like Jacksonville. We weren't going to take anybody's votes, nothing like that, to choose elected officers. It was just simple, basic things, giving a little bit more to the people. And I did find out that it has to be done by special election. We didn't want to incur any costs like that. So anything we wanted and suggested by charter can be done by ordinance. So one of the things I suggested was that the constitutional officers are not required. You know, I gave an example that the city manager and the county administrator, anything over $25,000, they have to put out a public bid. So I would like to see a resolution and become an ordinance that constitutional officers do that. I'm not accusing anybody of waste or anything, but everybody knows that just having competitive bids could get you a better price, you know, and give you more knowledge about what's out there and what's available. So I'd like to see things like that done. There are other issues, you know, that we didn't get a time time to suggest or anything like that, but it's just basic stuff of effectively running things, saving money, cutting cost, and making everything more transparent. So I'd like y'all to consider that, to do a resolution and do an ordinance and require public bidding. That's just one to start with. I mean, we can come back to you with other things, but I'd like to see y'all discuss that and do something with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weeks. We do have an ordinance, and we are working on our purchasing ordinance. Mrs. Dillon's in the room right now, and you've been here, what, 5 months, 6 months now? And that's one of your charges. You've been working on that since you got here. So we are looking at that. So thank you, Ms. Weeks, for that. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to us today? Okay, seeing none, let me make sure. We're going to go into our consent agenda. Commissioners, are there any items you'd like to pull?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, remember, item O has been pulled from the...
Yes, it has.
Yes, item O has been pulled from the Public Works Director pulled that item. Not because there was just some language that needs to be cleaned up, and we're going to discuss that more at length today at the transportation meeting. Okay, so Commissioner Goddard, do you have anything? Am I right?
No, sir.
Commissioner Pickens?
No. There must not be anybody from Lake Susan Road in the audience today. Isn't that right, Commissioner Harris?
Commissioner Still?
We have worked on that one a long time.
No, sir, I just, a lot of these that we were getting in here, we're getting a lot of grants, so just appreciation to see that we're getting money elsewhere to do a lot of these things that are being done in this agenda here, but that's
Okay.
about it.
All right. Commissioners, I'd like to pull item I, and I want to talk about item P. And item I, a few months back, gosh, Commissioner Liable, help me if you will. Some of the other we talked about bears. Remember, we had a meeting about bears?
Right.
Well, this item right here allows us to get $18,000 for bear-resistant trash cans. Now, some of y'all might think, where's the biggest bear population in Putnam County? I thought it was out in the Georges Lake area. That's my first thought. But far be known to me, it's down in South Putnam, down in the Satsuma, Crescent City area. Seems like the bears like to travel by river and come over here and eat our garbage and head back over. So this is a program to help deter bears, especially, I think, Yvonne, you have bears in your area that you said they smelled your goodies coming home one night in your car. So this is the start of something. If you can keep, what did they say, a well-fed bear is a dead bear, basically. And if we can keep bears out of garbage, that's a good thing. This kind of a pilot program, there's possibly no way we could benefit all of Putnam County with bear-proof trash cans.
Commissioner Harvey,
Yes.
I'm glad you brought it out, thank
Okay.
you. I wanted to bring up that roughly, well, no, not roughly, 60% of the proceeds to buy these tamper-proof cans came from the hunt 2 years ago. I don't know if that's good or bad, I'm not advocating for that.
Right.
Very controversial subject. But it's 370, well, I think our portion's $125,000, but if it's possible to get these cans to the public without a match, they're requiring that the public pay a little bit. Let's try to make that happen.
Our part is not 125.
No. Our part is this $18,000 and
I'm sorry, 125 came from the state trust, you're right. But Mr. Leary, if it's possible that we can get enough cans for everybody that requests them without charging our residents, I would like to see that happen, that's all.
this allows the purchase of 90 cans, and the residents only have to pay $30, which is not very much money. The county does have to put up a $2,000 match to get the $18,000, and hopefully most of that will be in kind, but there is a required match of $2,000.
Is it statutorily required to $30, or
Pardon me?
if we don't have requests for the 90 cans, can we apply or take that away, actually, from the sum?
Well, the program's provisions, as they have been explained to me, are that the residents who want a can have to pay $30 for it. And
Okay,
that
if we can just look
the
at it.
$18,000 goes towards the purchase of 90 cans.
And I believe they'll go fast. And those are very, if you haven't seen these cans, we brought them here one day. They're very nice cans. Bears can't figure out how to push the lock and open them yet, but they're working on it. So, too much. Okay. All right, Commissioner Lible, is that it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. Move approval.
All
Well,
right.
let's take them all together.
And I wanted to pull item P, that's number 87 in your packet. Commissioner Harris, you're going to like this one. Beecher Springs Road. Mr. Tompkins, could you come up, along with Mr. Nimitz, and explain to us the value of us spending this kind of money on that road? And I think the public, I know the public needs to know why we do what we do, but this is a very important project. Mr. Tompkins.
Yes, sir. Press Tompkins, Public Works Director. When we went out there, we put Beecher Springs Road on our resurfacing list last year and went through all the vetting process. We got out there and started working on it, and one of the first things we do are the driveways and turnouts and stuff like that. You know, what we discovered when we got there and started doing work was we had, I hate to say this, made a basic assumption that the road had been built several years ago and was built with adequate base on it. What we found out is we absolutely had no base. It was constructed on a clay base with asphalt on top of it. It had deteriorated substantially enough that we could not resurface it. I got hold of several asphalt contractors, and with my experience, we looked at it. We said this was a candidate, what was called full depth reclamation. It's about the only way to reclaim a road, not throw it completely away, but reclaim everything that's there. So what the reclaim does, it takes the clay base, the asphalt, and we add an emulsion and some Portland cement to it. We churn it all up, mix that all together, reclaim all that as a base material, create a good base, and then we resurface it like we normally would with any job. This will give us a good 20-year, 25-year lifespan road. It is, I hate to say it is expensive, but it is not. As the saying goes, good roads cost money, bad roads cost even more. Right. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get us to build good roads that will give us the life expectancy we need. And it is a change order. It's approximately $700,000, but it is well worth the money to do what we're doing.
And we're not putting a Band-Aid on a sore. We're fixing the sore.
No, sir, we're not Band-Aiding anything. We are fixing it the way it needs to be fixed.
Thank you, Mr. Tompkins. Thank you, Mr. Nimitz. We appreciate it. Okay, Commissioners, that's all the items that were pulled. The Chair will entertain a motion for consent agenda items A through S.
So moved.
Proper motion by Commissioner Pickens. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Consent agenda carries. Thank you. Okay, item number 7, Mr. Kevin Sharbraw. Putnam Blueways and Trails. We're going to take about a 2-minute break. Mr. Sharbraw has requested until they get the computer up and running.
Good.
Recess for 2 minutes.
Still doing it.
Put that check up.
Go to the bank.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
You're gonna be busy.
The presentation.
The mayoral hugs.
I know I wasn't the mayor. Good thing.
This is a newer
No, I
I don't want to do a slideshow, I just want to.
Rusty didn't get the.
There we go, right there. Start from beginning, yes, okay.
Excellent meeting. I just wanted them to feel part.
Good? It's funny how that works. You know, you can't go forward without a big dose of that.
Sure, let me get who I'd send it to.
I expected a lot.
I sent it to you? Whoever did the back.
Sure. We'll see what happens.
I've only been here once for a,
Fellow Commissioner, thank you, sir.
Bye, Robert. Good to see you.
Need a minute?
They've got it cranked. Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking if the commissioners have a screen so that they see what we're
Yeah.
showing. They each have a-
Actually, they're not very good because you got papers and stuff. I'd much rather have something here.
Yeah.
I know it's not the thing, but yeah, it's. and
Having to swim through it?
Even then, it's kind of.
it's gone already. I have a little heater in my office out here. I don't know how many works here. Oldest building there is.
I got a little one under my desk.
People say they do it to run everybody off. So they won't stay very long.
Maybe, or keep them pretty tranquil.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there.
Okay.
Buddy.
Well, we'll educate them.
Yeah, that's why we need to get going.
Y'all handle that. Let's not, we're gonna vote on that. So if you- Okay. All right, if you could work your way back to your seat.
I'm wearing two coats next meeting. I'm freezing here.
What's that?
All right, everybody, if you can work your way back to your seat.
Kevin just complained of it. Start borrowing Sparkman's blanket over there. Carries a blanket. Too, we got a coat on. That was nice this morning. Wasn't sure what that was going to go like, but that was positive.
Yes.
Mine's always.
All the way to Alachua County, Marion. All right, all of our commissioners are back in, and we will reconvene our meeting. Item number 7, Kevin Charbrough with Putnam Blueways and Trails Annual Report and Presentation.
Hello, good morning, Commissioners. Hello, Commissioner Lible, Commissioner Harvey. Congratulations, Commissioners Goddard, Stillwell, and Pickens. Nice to see you here this morning. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to come and give a bit of an overview of Putnam Blueways and Trails Citizen Support Organization, let you know who we are, what we do, how you help us, how we help you. In front of each of you is a packet of information. Basically, it's an overview of what I'm presenting here this morning. That has been provided by our incoming chair, Mr. Penn Mitchell. He's standing here to my left. The slide says I'm the chair when it goes back to the slide there. And point of fact, we recently had our organizational meeting, and now Mr. Penn Mitchell is the chair moving forward, which is great. We have term limits in our organization, and I'm really happy with those, just from a personal perspective. With that being said, I'd also like to note there are a couple of members of our group in the audience, if they'd like to stand just for a moment to say, they're members of Putnam Blueways and Trails, and they're here this morning on behalf of our organization to say hello to you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Penn. That's fine. All right, so I'm going to run a little PowerPoint for you. Putnam Blueways and Trails, we have a vision statement, and that is to have outstanding blueways and trails for all. And our mission is to be a resource and voice for trail users and to function as a steward for all Putnam County trails by promoting their acquisition, development, operation, and non-motorized use in an environmentally sustainable manner. All right. Just showing some of the photos of our wonderful blueways that we have in this county. You know, there was mentioned earlier that we don't have any interstate highway coming through this county, but we do have one magnificent river. And that's a resource we really need to make sure that we're taking good, judicious advantage of with stewardship involved.
Agreed.
The Blueways and Trails, we were formed about 5 years ago. We're a unique citizen support organization that we focus on all of the trails in Putnam County. We're not just affiliated with one trail or a single park like most citizen support organizations are. We have a relationship with Putnam County through the Parks and Rec Department. And it continues to be a successful partnership in which Blueways and Trails is the umbrella CSO for the trails. We currently have about 111 active members. We have email membership of 848 people on our email list, and we've got over 1,200 people participate with us on Facebook. We are an event-driven organization, which means instead of getting around a meeting once a month and just talking about things, we actually schedule events and we go out and play. And people are more likely to want to get involved and participate if what you're doing is something that they can come and play doing. So we host events, we schedule and host events for biking, kayaking, paddling, and we're trying to get involved in some equestrian activities, but that's one of those harder venues for us. And it kind of requires a horse. I've got kayaks, bikes, and feet. So I got those three down pretty good, but dealing with the equestrian sector has been a challenge. Over this past year, this is for the year of 2016, we had 10 cycling events that we had 109 cyclists participate in these monthly events. Here's some photos of people pedaling through Putnam, some of our cycling events. We have a wonderful trail system that's coming into place. So that's a nice protected, safe space for younger cyclists to be able to go out and ride their bikes without having to worry about cars and other motorized conflicts. This past year, we hosted 7 hiking events, which catered to 55 hikers. Here's some of our hiking, and all of this is in Putnam County. Except for this photo right there is actually Haw Creek, which is just outside of Putnam County. So, but this is Blue Pond down there, Duns Creek State Park. There's that photo right there. And for our kayaking, we hosted 27 different paddling events this past year with participation by 392 paddlers. What we normally do is every full moon we have a paddle. That's an evening paddle. We do that on protected waterways like our lakes. And then we also have a day paddle once a month.
You came to my lake one time.
Yes, we have.
Yes, you did.
Yes, we have. In fact, the next 2 kayak events that are scheduled, there is a Willaca Springs for January 28th. People are going to go down and look at the manatees. And then on February 4th, the Rat and Polly Islands. I believe that's a full moon paddle coming up, which is down there near Duns Creek Bridge. You park under the bridge and we have people who lead the events and who sweep behind to make sure nobody goes astray and comes up missing. So far, we've always come back with the same number that went out.
Congratulations.
That's good. That's good. It's better than PR of a different sort. So here's some photos of people participating in some of our kayaking events. I believe this looks like it might be Bear Creek, which is really, if you've never been up Bear Creek by kayak, you're really missing something. It's a true gem that we have in this county. It's right across, it's near the mouth of the Ocklawaha. It's a side tributary, but because it's smaller, and the Ocklawaha emptying into the St. Johns River is right there. That's where all the power boats go up the Ocklawaha. Meanwhile, Bear Creek right there, you just go paddling up in there, and it's just wonderful. Of course, we like to have fun, so we have water gun fights and that kind of stuff. And kayak poker events where you paddle around, pick up your cards, and play your best hand. We also like to participate with young people. Here is an event where we had, I think it was the Boy Scouts down in Crescent City out on Lake Stella. This is just outside of Putnam County, but it's over in Lake Diston, just southeast of Crescent City. It's a gorgeous paddle with this huge primeval cypress kind of forested area along the northern rim, which is just a really spectacular event. If you see it on our schedule, I'd encourage you to come and participate because it is a wonderful thing. I believe this here was actually Lake Stella. This photo was from Lake Stella sunset, one of our full moon paddles. So horse rides this past year, we did not actually pull off any equestrian events. So we're event driven. We served about 556 people this year in our monthly events. Now, I see the function of the monthly event is to build the camaraderie of people coming in playing with our resources, and it's normally local people doing that, but then that is the resource from which the organization can pull to support larger events, such as when we have the Bicycle Festival comes in, or when we have Paddle Florida come in, or when we have Bike Florida come in, and we basically are able to then call upon our members of our organization to volunteer time to go and help support these larger events that are being brought into our county, bringing in regional and national participants, such as coming up this February, the date is February 10th through 12th is the next major event happening. It's the Iron Horse, which basically is right up here in Flora Home. A fellow named Chris Rodatz out of Orange Park has run this event for, I believe, 8 to 10 years. He uses the trail system here, and you have world-class endurance athletes come. It's a 26-hour race. You can run either 50 miles, metric century, or 100 miles. So they have to have a little bit of logistical support to do that, and our organization shows up and we help staff up some of the aid stations for that event. And so I think last year you had 145 participants. Normally it's between about 125 to 150. Those are actual runners. I won't call them racers, although I guess they are. But those are actual runners, but that doesn't include their family and support personnel that show up to help them, their personal people who are showing up into our hotels and taking advantage of the restaurants and the other businesses here in Putnam County.
Kevin, if I could add to it?
Please do.
If you want to view this, you go out on that date around noon time in the Floor Home area, and you can park real easily right in downtown Floor Home, and it is really fun to watch. It is. They have booths and T-shirts and beverages, and it's amazing, the cross-section from the public that take place. I encourage people to go see this.
Or if you go on early Sunday morning, you'll see the race clock where it's got over 20 hours on this, clicking off the seconds, and you're going like, wow, these people are a different breed.
Kevin, give us those dates one more time, please.
That is February 10th through the 12th, and we have an online sign-up for people who'd like to volunteer to assist. It's on Eventbrite, and I can direct you right to it, because I'll show you in a bit, we always tend to turn our aid stations into a party central kind of thing with the disco ball and disco music and stuff. So these people who are delirious stumbling through the woods at 3 in the morning come upon this kind of crazy scene out in the middle of the Niah State Forest. So also we had 8 work days this past year. We try to do that once a month on a Saturday. One of the major ones that we did this past year was right after the opening of the trail in East Palatka. We spent a full day. I think there was about 16 volunteers that day, and we ended up getting just under 2 tons worth of trash. You'll see there's one of the Public Works dump trucks there, and it ended up full. And there were an awful lot of what I call legacy tires, a bunch of tires that have, over the years been thrown out into the woods. And I think we pulled over between like 50 and 60 of these tires, some of them like big, huge tractor tires, and, somebody's toilet they threw in the wayside there. Anyways, so we figure, we'll lend a helping hand to present a nice image to both our own citizens using the trail, as well as those who come over and use these trails who are visiting us. We also, here's us cleaning one of the campsites in Willaca State Forest. Some of the work crew. We participated in the coastal cleanup. Our coastal cleanup, of course, consists of the river. So we always help out on the coastal cleanup, International Coastal Cleanup Day, by having kayakers go out and pick up trash along the river.
Kevin, can
Yes,
I
sir.
make a comment
Please
about
do.
that? Remember Kate Podovich with Keep Putnam Beautiful years ago?
Yep.
I was involved in some of the cleanups that she did, and one thing she said to me, all trash in Florida ends up in waterways.
It's very true.
And that just always stuck with me. No matter where you live at, water is going to take that trash and take it to another water. And I've always been very aware of that since that time.
And it's also kind of challenging because it's fairly inaccessible. I mean, from landward, we've got, especially here, we have a lot of completely, undeveloped waterfront. And so people can't really get there by foot if they're walking around trying to pick up trash. So you almost, you have to get to it by water to get it cleaned out. We also had put together a benefit for the community called Putnam Stewards Calendar. And this is a single calendar people can go to online, putnamstewards.org, and it's a calendar for all the different environmental stewardship groups in the county. They post their events on their Google Calendar, and basically this calendar picks it all up. So you can go there kind of like a one-stop spot to go and see what is, what's the Waterworks doing, what's Ravine Gardens State Park doing, what's Blue A's and Trails doing, what's Keep Putnam Beautiful doing, and it's all there on that one calendar. Special events, the Iron Horse Aid Station this past year, we had 17 volunteers help staff the aid station throughout the night. As I said, here's a picture of, we got the disco ball hanging there and Christmas lights all strung up and everything, and we got a big sound system going out there in the middle of the woods. So here it is as the runners are coming in, and you get kind of a prismatic effect happening for them. Anyways, it's a good time. I will say this, it's late February is normally a fairly chilly time of the year. So the runners might be keeping up their body temperature, but I'll go ahead and tell everyone, come on out and volunteer and participate, but bring a jacket. And it goes on through the entire night. Some people can stay up all night. Some people don't stay up all night, but that's okay too.
That was bad. Did you
Well, we end up with our burn
You'll pay
barrels.
for that
and-
one.
Yeah, they're burn barrels there, so there are fires and everything. And it's really a nice bit of, it's a nice bit of camaraderie with, your the members of your community. This past year, we also helped with the National Walking Day. The mayor of Placa puts that together. There are 40 people participated in that. The Placa Bicycle Festival this past year, we had 74 cyclists, and we ended up we had 50 volunteers. And this was a 2-day event in which we also staffed up the River Center and the Bronson Mulholland House so that those venues could be open to these people coming to visit our community who are participating in the bicycle event. And there were numerous different bike rides of different lengths so that people could choose, which rides they wanted to do. And then these next photos are actually taken from participants who came into our community, took different pictures. A lot of these are from those individuals that I went and saw where they had posted these different pictures up. So there is sunrise over the river, the morning of the rides, the first morning of the rides. And here we are on the back parking lot over at the school administration building, getting ready to get everybody underway. Here's the beginning of the ride. They're coming down that wonderful, protected trail on the bridge. I just need to make a note here. No matter what people may read in the paper, and I will say, unlike Mr. Starr, I actually still do read the Plaque Daily News every day, well, all 5 days that it's published, I know, but. And even though there are at times people make derogatory comments, I'll say, regarding the wisdom of that particular section of trail, I will tell you this, and its use. Every morning, I live in East Palatka. Every morning I drive over that bridge going to Interlaken. Every single day, there are people on that trail, and becoming more and more every single day. The other day, I was just driving over the bridge. There were 12 people on bikes, on foot, fishing. It's much safer for them to have that barrier there than to have log trucks rolling right past them while they're trying to sit there and do something. And people are using it as a form of exercise. I see people doing the bridge walk every morning, right? And that's good. I'll just, unequivocally, that's good.
There's a group that gets up at 5:30 to do that in the morning at that bridge. I mean, they meet at 5:30. Can you believe it?
I mean, that is the mountain we have here.
Right,
Really,
exactly.
that's our
That's our mountain.
That's our change of elevation is the bridge. So if you want to get a cardio workout, you know,
That's right.
that's where I direct you. These people really, they're coming from communities that don't have active farmlands anymore, right? They're coming from cities. And so they come and they come out here and they go riding in our county, and they get to, I mean, they were specifically commenting on it. It was wonderful to see the potatoes blooming. Of course, we had to tell them it was potatoes that were active. But, you know, they were recognizing all the crops and the blooms and everything, and they really, they valued that. They saw that there was some value there to be able to see that. And this is just a gorgeous photo of one of our tree canopy road, you know, our roads with tree canopy that people are down here riding on. Here's another one. I think this is down in the Crescent City area where you have all these live oaks and all the moss, Spanish moss up in the trees. And even out to the locks. You know, there's one of our hospitality stops was out at the lock system. So people would go out there and take a look at that. Along with the Bicycle Festival, we also participated in an event down in Crescent City on Lake Stella that the police chief down there came and got in touch with us, said, hey, I'd like to come up and talk to you about an idea. And his idea was to have an event called Cops, Kids, and Kayaks. So we said, great, we'd love to support that. So there was about 50 children came out. We had 15 volunteers. And these are people, I think a number of these children are in foster homes. So they're not necessarily having access to this kind of an experience. But the police chief down there was insightful and said, hey, let's do this for these young people. So we had paddle boards come out, we had kayaks come out, and they had a lot of one-on-one with adults, helping them learn how to play on the water in a safe manner. And, you know, that's kind of the feedback you get from young people when they have an opportunity to go out and play in the water and in our resources. We also, this was the second year of running a homegrown event. Mr. Kevin McNichol is here in the audience. He's one of the board members on Blue Ways and Trails. We have a board of 12 individuals. Anyways, he had this idea to put together what he calls a Kaihika bike. And it's down in Willaca State Forest, and it's a three-legged race, it's a race of three components, I'll put it that way. Kayaking, then running, and then biking. And this was our second year to hold the event down in Willaca State Forest. There's Mr. McNichol and his lovely wife, Maureen. Here are some of the participants showing up. You know, you see an expedition with kayaks on tie-up and bikes on a trailer behind it as they're hauling that into the forest, getting all prepped up that morning. And this is down at Mud Springs, actually. That section is, and this is at the wharf in Willaca where the kayakers started. And there's people on the trail and the finish line. And I put this photo in here not just because it's a finish line and it follows chronologically to the other photos, but you know, I really like the fact that we have this banner that's got our logo, and it's got Beck Automotive, who is supporting it, and it's got the Chamber of Commerce and Azalea Health and the Forest and Publix and Walmart, and these various organizations and corporations. You know, we solicit them to help us put on these events right here in Putnam County so that people can come and see some of our wildlife. We also have a number of events that are kind of spontaneous amongst our members on Facebook. They'll post, hey, I'm going riding out on this section of trail at this time. Anybody want to go? Next thing you know, a whole bunch of people show up out there to go riding together, which is a nice bit of community happening. Off-road rides as well. We have one of our people with the kayaking is Mike Belcher, and he likes kayaking all over. So not only does he lead kayaking events for us as Blueways and Trails, but he also goes to Silver Springs and Blue Springs and all over Florida. So if you're following on Facebook, you can end up hopping in on a trip where he's going kayaking throughout the state. Some of our marketing tools that we make use of, we have a web page. I know it's hard to see this on the screen there, but basically identifies who we are, what all we do. Here's the Facebook page that I mentioned that we also use to market. Every Monday, we put out an email that we call Trail Mail. So people who are interested in what we're doing, they'll just send us their email address and say, put me on Trail Mail. And every Monday, you just get one email. It's on Monday, and it says, here's our next 5 events. List them out. You scroll down, see the ones you want. It's got a map, what the directions are, et cetera, all that kind of thing. And here, in fact, here's an image of Trail Mail, what it looks like if anybody wants to. And I've got plenty of our business cards or club cards. If anybody wants one, I'm happy to give you that contact information at the end of the presentation. We also have a brochure with an application if people want to become members. It's $10 a person per year or $20 for a family. So we think that's a pretty good value because we turn around and use those funds for these kind of events that we're putting together. But I'll end up showing you that it's a benefit to the members as well. We have these business cards. Like I said, I'll hand them out at the end of the presentation if anyone's interested. We also have bumper stickers if you want to show your Putnam pride on the back of your vehicle. Membership cards. Okay, that's what I'm circling back around to. I told you it's $10 a person, $20 a family, which I think is a good deal because you also get a membership card for the year. For 2016, our local sponsors, we had 18 of them, and now for 2017, the cards are being printed even as we speak. We have 29 local businesses are our sponsors, and they give us basically like 10% off at a restaurant or something like that, and we specifically target our local non-national chain businesses. We tend to have an event where we host it so that we go out, we do something fun together, we come back and we go to a local restaurant or establishment that sells adult beverages. Sometimes we do that. And we come back to there and then we do business with those local businesses. Because that's really the point here. That's the larger point here, is to drive ecotourism, growth of ecotourism, and that has a necessary component of being economically beneficial to our local businesses. So we're very conscious of our local businesses and being supportive of them. All right, and we have swag, like you can get a shirt with our logo on the back and all that kind of stuff. All right, and that's just telling you where to go online to get all that stuff. Okay, here's the next important thing. Volunteer hours. We formed in 2011. We didn't actually start tracking our volunteer hours until April of 2014. From April of 2014 to January 1st of 2015, our volunteers documented 1,880 hours. Now, that's not just everybody who shows up and goes paddling around in a kayak. No, that's just play. The volunteer hours are the people who are doing the work days, the people who are meeting, who are on the board, who are getting together planning all this, the people who are the actual logistic support that make these events happen. That was in that piece of 2014. That's the equivalent of 47 weeks of a full-time job. Then in January 2015 to November 2015, so for 2015, our volunteers logged over 1,250 hours. And then for 2016, for the year, we logged 3,243 hours. So if we just add those 2.5 years worth of tracking volunteer time, that's over 6,373 volunteer hours since we began tracking. Now the state actually has a formula that they use to calculate that in-kind service worth of that time. and it's $23 and, I don't know, 50-something cents or whatever. Well, I just used calculating off $23 an hour. That's the equivalent of $147,000 worth of in-kind services from members of the community who are volunteering with this organization. So then I tell people, remember to log your volunteer hours and how to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to hop past that. That's the East Palatka Trail as it was last year at my presentation. And you saw the photo at the beginning where people were riding on that trail. So it's there, and there's actually a little trailhead to park there now. And we're moving on towards St. Augustine with that particular trail. In fact, that right there is what's gone up in the town of Hastings. They're putting together a trailhead over there. We're very excited about the funding, the priority funding that's been designated by the state for the St. Johns River to Sea Loop, and the funding for construction of the Palatka to Lake Butler State Trail from Roberts Lane to St. Johns River Water Management District. And in St. Johns County, they have, I think it's about $5.5 million has been programmed to help complete the trail from the Hastings, from the county line where it stops now, because we got our stuff done, right? But they need to now connect that to Spuds, and that further connects that link to St. Augustine. I already, when I go out on the East Palatka Trail, see large groups of riders coming in from Jacksonville and St. Augustine using that trail. But I can envision once that link through the Hastings area is connected, people are going to get on their bikes in St. Augustine and be riding to Palatka. That's right. Okay? I mean, it's going to happen. We were talking about earlier about planting seeds. Yeah, that's the seed, is that we're laying this infrastructure for that further development into the future. All right, so for 2017, we're going to continue to host monthly events, and we're going to continue to sponsor larger events, beginning with the Iron Horse, which I told you the date for that. We have a 2-day bicycle weekend that is April 8th and 9th. It'll be headquartered out of Palatka. And our annual Kaihika Bike down in Willaca State Forest will be on the 21st of October. So that's what's currently scheduled up. And this is a beautiful sunset photo, and many times my presentation kind of ends right there. But you get a little bit of a bonus package here. And I'll tell you why, because like I said earlier, I do read the paper every day. And not too far back, there was an individual who was advocating for a particular issue. And in doing so, they pointed out the trails and bike trails and said something to the effect of, well, this is what the paper reflected them saying, was to the effect of, hey, you know, we're not spending money correctly. We're spending money on these bike trails instead of on other things that the community needs, etc. Okay, so I just want to make for you a few observations on trail funding. And commissioners, you have this as a bullet point page, and then behind it is the actual spreadsheet that goes into documenting what I'm about to present to you. By the end of 2020, the state of Florida is programmed for a total investment of $30 million in Putnam County on acquiring, planning, and constructing trails, the trail network. This is information from 1993 to present. Those investments will complete the Putnam County portion of the Lake City to St. Augustine Trail, which is 101 miles, and will largely complete the Putnam County sections of the St. Johns River to Sea Loop. So those are two, one's a long linear trail and the other's a big loop that will be coming right into Putnam County up on the east side of the county. In that span of time, from what we could go and pull documents for, Putnam County government has spent approximately $86,000 and is programmed to spend another $40,000 for improvements to Tanglewild. That's to match a $200,000 state grant. So there was a grant application was put in to put in some trails and a kayak launch at Tanglewild Park. And the state says, we're going to give you $200,000, but you got to come up with 40. Okay? All right. So you can add that together, you get $126,000. That's what Putnam County government has put into the system. while the state has put in 30 million. So that really mathematically just comes out to the fact that Putnam County government spent less than 1% towards trails planning, design, and construction compared to the state contribution. So that's not a complaint. I'm just showing you the numbers. When somebody gets up and says, hey, you guys are misspending our money, actually you guys aren't really spending very much money. The state is spending money, and if people want to complain to the state about that, that's a different body to address with that particular grievance, is what I would say. What you need to know is that those funds, those funds spent or invested by the state, Department of Transportation, and Department of Environmental Protection, those are consistent with the county's trail master plan, local, state, and national policy. And I'm going to back up and talk about the county's trail master plan. Actually, it was when Mr. Wes Larson was in charge of the Chamber of Commerce that the original Trails Planning Group came into existence in this county. And it was while he was still the head of the chamber that the chamber oversaw the development of the Trails Master Plan here in Putnam County. So it's a long-term vision that's been in place for quite a while, and it's starting to bear fruit. You also need to know that those particular funds are earmarked specifically for trail-type facilities, which means if Putnam County doesn't tap these investments to improve our county and our infrastructure, other areas in Florida will. It's very competitive. And you know, you can go to other communities and see where they've got nice infrastructure and they've all laid it in or whatever. Well, we actually have an advantage. One of the advantages we have as a rural community and an economically repressed community or challenged community is that actually gives us points when we go and make applications for grants. That actually, Department of Transportation says, where can we get the most bang for the buck in developing these trails now? And the acquiring of the right-of-way to do it is a much easier process in a rural community than if you're like locked into a downtown area. It's very hard to figure out how to route a trail in an urban setting. So that's why we're benefiting now from this development of trails in our community. So trail improvements are a combined local, state, and national effort to improve our community with additional tools at an incredibly low local cost. With regard to the economy, trails help increase tourism via daily trail visits, events, and festivals. With regard to health, trails help increase healthier lifestyles via active participation in important exercise, as simple as walking, bike riding, and kayak paddling. Our organization has launched a wayfinding effort, which is basically signage, to improve the knowledge of and the access to our trail system. And you'll be hearing more about this in the month and months ahead. We have trails, we have people who are still on the road because they don't realize there's a trail right there on the other side of these trees that they could be using. So we need to start working on getting signage to direct people onto the trail system where they'll have a more enjoyable, safer experience. And this was the part I mentioned earlier about this coming year. The state plans to invest an additional $5.5 million to close the trail gap between Hastings and Spud, linking us closer to St. Augustine. And in summation, we want to thank our partners at Rails to Trails Conservancy and the Coca-Cola Foundation for helping Putnam Trails. They've contributed over $10,000 in grants that we've received from them over the past 4 years. And finally, here's a source of all this data. It was prepared by Mr. Craig McLean with the assistance of Barney Bennett from FDOT, Danita Cole, Putnam County Public Works, Angie Wisnet, Putnam County Parks and Recreation Department, Sam Carr, Bartram Trail in Putnam, and myself. I'm Kevin, and delighted to speak to you this morning. Thank you very much.
Kevin, thank you very much. Kevin, I have a question for you.
Of course.
And I've recently started getting calls from citizens in the Melrose area that would like to see a trail coming out of Melrose to 100 so they could access the trail. Just might want to put that, you know, in your hat and think about that.
It's in there.
You know.
It's in the hat. I'll just say, yes, that issue has been, that idea has been raised and presented, and there's a process of basically there's a cycle.
Right.
With the visioning process and the planning process with the trail system. And that's on the state level, and the DOT comes in periodically and does that update. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, I was at the most recent one, it was I think about a year ago, and that idea was presented, and.
Come on up, Sam.
Do you know something more?
Yeah.
I'm sure he does, actually.
Please, wait till you get to.
Office of Greenways and Trails comes to town. In fact, they had their most attended meeting here in Palatka 3 years ago, and we just attended one last year. There'll be another one coming up this September, and at that time, what they do is put a map out, and citizens get to draw lines. The line that you're talking about is already there. It's called an opportunity trail, and it's on the opportunity map for Office of Greenways and Trails. So as far as planning and future planning and all that kind of stuff, it's there. It has to move from there to the priority section before we get where we are in currently Putnam County. So it's on there already.
Well, I found it exciting that I was getting calls on that, and not on, hey, my road needs to be graded. You know, that was kind of exciting.
When this connection to St. Augustine comes, and when they finish the road all the way into to water management, we're already getting a huge amount of traffic in here. We really are. And Palatka is really the trail hub of Northeast Florida. It is. 5 of the major priority trails that are designed by the state of Florida are going over that bridge. And so ecotourism, there have been many, many communities in the state of Florida that have benefited by it. And Palatka has the best opportunity of all of them to benefit by these trails coming through Palatka. Chip and I are in our Waterways Committee meeting the other day. It's time for us to have during one of your workshops, to have a section there where we can bring the people from Tallahassee in to show you what the real plan is, because we need to be ready for these people when they get to town, and we are. We've got more done than any other state, any other county. We need to take advantage of that stuff, and also I'll be working with your folks to put that together.
Well, thank you.
If I could, Mr. Chair,
Mr.
call
Lyle,
Sam. He talked about the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation. Amendment 1 money has delivered from the legislature in pocket $25 million presently right now for that rail trail and sea loop sections, and the gaps in Putnam County that we're experiencing from Roberts Lane primarily to Water Management District and then into our urban trail in Palatka, which will hook up with which Kevin showed you on to St. Augustine. They would like to prioritize right now because Palatka has got where Putnam County has their ducks in a row, shovel-ready projects, the master plan he spoke of, and they've asked me, I'm on the foundation, to step up and make a rural charge for this money and to show other rural communities, which I'm going to be hesitant to do, how to do it until we get our gaps filled.
How to do it after the
But they're very serious. They're very serious because they know we're very serious, and the formula is working. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do, as far as thanking Kevin for the presentation and the many that have worked in the trenches to get us this far. And Sam, they are envious of what we've done. I mean, we're superstars everywhere we go. Like, oh, you're from that delegation from Putnam County. It's just amazing. I'm very proud to represent the county at this capacity, and we hadn't seen anything yet. It's about to really come on. It really is.
Bible, charge full steam ahead.
You got it. We're doing it. We did, to add to the inventory Kevin already shared with you today, Saturday, Craig McLean's in the back of the room, but we attended a conference at Silver Springs, had to look at the plate glass windows and the beautiful iconic spring all day and listen to lectures. That wasn't fair, but anyhow, there were boats paddling around and everything. It was a beautiful day. But they shared with us the equestrian community of Marion County is primarily what it was for. There's a segment we've not even tapped into, and the mountain bike community. Very serious, already in place. We have rock quarries and inventory that they would be thrilled to come share with us. So we saw a couple more avenues to really advance his cause.
Is it the Florida Greenway? That's out there, where the barge canal cut. And the spoils.
That's the end of it.
Yeah, and there's these big hills there, right? This big, huge berm, right? And trees have grown up and everything now. Well, we actually, the Greenways visioning process was just about a month or two ago, we had a number of people from our organization go specifically requesting that they look at developing an off-road bike, a mountain bike kind of.
It came up again Saturday at the conference.
There you go. I mean, think about that. You got Santos. If anybody does any mountain bike riding, Santos is this big facility where it's out there in the middle of the woods. And
Europeans are coming by the hundreds to ride Santos right now as we speak.
And you
They're
can have
planning
that
their
right
whole
there,
vacation.
just up the road from, what is it, Mudwaller? I'm sorry, Hogwaller, thanks. I'm thinking Hogwash, I know it's not the barbecue joint. Okay. But yeah, I mean, literally, it'd be right up the street from Hogwaller, and then you go over there and you'd go and play on your bike and ride all these trails up and down, all the different elevation changes and such, so.
It's pretty
potential is
amazing.
here for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, thank you both, and I mean it. This whole board thanks you and your efforts, and all of you, CSO and Blue Ways folks. It's just a phenomenal what has happened in the last 5 years here.
Kevin, Sam, would you hang tight real close? Ms. Masters would like to talk to you real quick.
Rhonda Masters at Federal Point. Before this group gets out of here, I heard at a recent county commission meeting that the same kind of sentiment, that people felt like we were wasting money on our trails. And nothing could be further from the truth. And to tell you all, some of you know that I'm part of the congregation at St. Paul's Episcopal Church at Federal Point. And so we have been contacted actually by Bike Florida and by the St. John's to Sea Loop. They're having a huge ride in March, and the ride is the Gullah Geechee ride. It's a new format called a wagon wheel. They're positioning themselves at the St. Johns County Fairground. It's 7 days of riding. They're expecting 650 riders, not to mention the support staff. Every ride, every day comes through Putnam County. That's amazing to me. So we've been asked to be a rest stop, so we're going to do that, and we're proud to be a part of it.
Thank you very much.
And whatever we can do to help, you got 5 commissioners up here that I'm sure would love to.
Well, Putnam Blue Ways is helping. We're going to have kayaks on the riverfront, and they're going to have the best experience of that week-long ride in Palatka. Right, Sam?
The Honorable Tim Smith, Clerk of Court, would like to make a comment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's so heartening to hear this conversation today, and I look out all the folks that have been involved in this. But I would be remiss if I didn't specifically recognize Craig McLean and Nancy Harris.
That's right.
I've been in elected office 29 years, and my first year, Craig McLean started talking to me about rails to trails, is what we originally called them, and he actually took me out on some trails. And to think how long-lived this project's been, and we talked about how long-lived economic development is, these things take forever. And I'm talking to basically 4 new commissioners here, because Larry, you got a couple years into this.
Right.
But your whole life during your political career will involve these items. And I hope that you will get involved and support them, because they really do pay off in the end. And how proud I am of that whole group that's done this for years and years and years, when there really was no recognition and no money. I mean, in the early years, there was nothing. And people preserved these rail tracks, the property, knowing one day they would be able to put some pavement on them. So I want to thank them and congratulate them for where they are today.
I agree.
And it was Craig, you're right, Mr. Smith. Long ago. He orders me to lunch once a week, and that 25 years of experience on these rail trails, I am trying to catch up, but he is hard to talk to. He's so far in front of this item, but thank you, Craig. Thank you from the bottom of our heart.
And Mr. Clerk, when I first got here, I believe the first appointment I had was with Craig, and he came to talk to me about some items, but Rails to Trails was right there on it. So he made sure that I plugged in very fast. I think I wasn't even here a day or two before I got the phone call, I need to come see you. So thank you for everybody who's worked so hard, and we appreciate it. And Putnam County is better because of that.
Thank you, St. Paul's.
Thank you.
Good deal.
All right, commissioners, thank you. All right, our next item is number 8, Codes Enforcement, John Simmons. That's page 113 on your packet. Good morning, sir.
Okay, wait. This case is 2014-0282. The owner of the property is T.H. Davison Jr. He's an out-of-state owner. The property is 107 Oleander Drive. This is a request for abatement. My photographs are not going to be as pretty as Kevin's were. I won't go through all this stuff because you've got it on the property, but we first saw the property on March 28th, 2014. We went through our process. Special magistrate heard the case on October 16th, 2014, and found the property to be in violation. Gave the owner until January 15th, 2015 to bring the property into compliance, or the fines would start. Case went back before the special magistrate on January 16th. And he ordered the lien to be recorded. The lien was recorded on July 16th, 2015. Nothing has happened. Went back to the special magistrate on December 17, 2015. He ordered the county to proceed with foreclosure and or abatement. And staff is basically here today to request abating this property that's very overgrown, and the mobile home is in terrible shape.
Thank you, sir. Anybody in the public would like to speak in favor or speak about this issue? Okay, commissioners? All right, commissioners, I'll entertain a motion. The chair will.
I'll make a motion to abate this property.
All right, we got a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard. Second by?
I'll second.
By Commissioner Pickens, the proper second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Property's abated. Thank you, Mr. Salmon.
Thank you.
Item number 9, we have a 10 o'clock certain. We're a little bit past that. Public hearing, proposed ordinance extending a temporary moratorium on cannabis dispensing business, pages 118 to 121 in your packet. Mr. Leary, will you be taking that today?
Yes, sir. This is an item discussed at the board's last workshop, where you indicated that you would be willing to entertain the ordinance to extend the moratorium that is currently in place relative to cannabis dispensing businesses. The ordinance that is in your agenda is identical to the one that currently exists. The only change is that it extends the moratorium through March the 31st, as opposed to the January 31st date that currently exists. I need to remind you that the county attorney told you at the last workshop that the advertising of the public hearing failed to meet the required publication dates, and that you will be hearing this on an emergency basis. Even though it has been advertised, it didn't quite meet the required time frame, and you'll be hearing this on an emergency basis, and therefore that will require a minimum of a majority, supermajority vote for passage. So that's just a housekeeping matter, I think, probably at this point, but nevertheless, we needed to make that point.
Okay, so we don't need to take it up as an emergency item. It just needs to pass as a supermajority.
It just needs to be noted that this is being taken up as an emergency item, and will require a supermajority vote.
All right, so we're going to take this up as an emergency item. Commissioners, is there anybody in the audience, before we do that, would like to speak about this? Okay, commissioners? Commissioner Lible?
Yes, I think that anybody that reads the papers and kept up with this new industry that will soon be upon us, the legislature is going to be definitely changing many aspects of the law and how it surrounds medical cannabis. So I think this moratorium is important until we know what the legislature's doing and what's going to come out of the end of the session, and then we'll act then. With that being said, I support and make a motion that we adopt this as
okay, we have a proper
Day to
motion
day.
by Commissioner Lible to adopt the ordinance.
I'll second.
We got a proper second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Ordinance carries. Thank you, sir. Okay, appointments. I've got on, let's take them one at a time if you don't mind. Affordable housing. I'm going to be asking you to replace Mary Slaughter with Paula Nichols. Ms. Nichols has extensive background in that. Is there any other appointments on affordable housing, commissioners?
I talked to Mr. McCormick, I believe, and he agreed to stay on the SHIP committee.
Okay. I don't think we have one on that. Doesn't,
No.
yeah, on that one we don't. We just have District 5 and an at-large. Okay. Community Redevelopment Agency, City of Palaca, they're looking for a commissioner. That commissioner looks to be Tommy Stillwell. The City of Palaca, Commissioner Stillwell, will you be willing to serve on the Community Redevelopment Agency?
Yes.
Okay. Contractors and boards examiners, Tom Williams has agreed to continue to serve on that. Fishing Fund, do we have any, District 2, you have an appointment? Anybody on that?
I don't at this
Okay.
time.
Library Board, District 2?
I would want to speak to the chairholder right now. I haven't done so yet.
I understand. MSBU Adjustment Committee, we need to replace an at-large, replacing Commissioner Pickens.
Good, we got rid of that guy, huh?
Promote him out, you promote him out, that's what you do. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. I am still working on the appointment for the Northeast Florida Regional Council. If you'll give me a few more days, I'll bring that to your attention as soon as I can, if that's appropriate. Planning Commission, District 5, you have one, and we have 2 at large. Is there any, okay?
Not right now.
Not right now. Ride Solutions Corporate Board, we need 1 commissioner to serve on that. Do we have any voluntold yet?
I would be interested in serving
You would
on
like to do that? Okay.
Great.
Okay. Commissioner Pickens would like to serve, and that would be a great choice for that. Waterways and Trails, we do need to start doing that. Do we have any appointments for Waterways and Trails?
Not right now.
Okay. Zoning,
How often does that committee meet?
Once a month, but that, let's leave that alone right now, if we can,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
It's, we've merged, the waterways and trails together, and we're still shaping who's going to be ex officio and permanent and this sort of thing. We're just not quite up to speed there yet.
and if you have names, if you can submit them back to our, bring them to us that would like to do that, we'd
Is that
like.
what you wanted to do?
You can,
Yvonne?
yes. Well, I think we all need.
Let me get some help from staff here real quick. Could you come to the podium, please, Yvonne? And thank you for reminding me of this. This is very important.
Good morning. As of the last meeting we had, Commissioner Lible suggested for the reason of getting quorum, that they go down to 8 voting members. The 3 permanents, as you will see, is 1 commissioner, Blue Ways and Trails representative, and the Parks and Recreation Director are permanent positions, and then the other 5 will be like District 1 through 5 appointments. The rest will be ex officio, non-voting members. So
We'll have a slate for you.
So we would have 1 at large instead of 5 at large, and is that what you're trying to say?
yes.
That's right.
Mr.
Well,
We would have to change our,
That's
you've
gonna-
already adopted a resolution about that, so, I
Right.
mean, we would appreciate your conveying that information to us, so we would be able
Right.
to prepare another resolution.
okay, we
Yeah,
can have.
that will have to be done before actually you can make your official
Thank you.
appointments.
I mean, it's,
Okay, we can wait on that, and if you'll forward that on to our
Okay.
administrator, we'll get that.
Be happy
changed.
to.
Okay, thank you.
And the last meeting wasn't really official because we hadn't had any appointments, so
Right.
that's why it's a little fuzzy.
Okay,
So-
we want to
and
get
it's,
it right.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
very new, and I don't know if you've ever been on a committee with 15 voting members. It's very hard to get a quorum.
Very daunting.
Yeah, it can be.
All right, commissioners, we'll leave that one alone, and we'll wait for them to clean that up. Zoning Board of Adjustments, District 5 and 2 at large.
Yeah, I'd like to recommend Mark Fisher for that position.
Okay, out of your area, Mark
Yes.
is in the audience. I'm sure, Mr. Fisher, you've agreed to serve. Nod your head, yep, okay, good. By show of nod. All right, and committees with commissioners serving, we have Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board. Commissioner Flagg was on that. I'd like to ask Tommy Stillwell, Commissioner Stillwell, would you like to serve on that?
How many times do they meet? And
I don't know much about that, but Mr. Leary?
I confess to not really having very much information on that, I'm sorry.
Why don't we wait and we'll find out and then
yeah, I'd like to have more information just to
Okay.
make sure that, you know, I'm not stretching myself.
I say we vote them in today. Come on, Tommy.
That's just mean, okay. All right, Public Safety Coordinating Council, gentlemen, I would like to serve on that if you don't mind.
So moved.
All right, so we have a list. Tony, did you get all the lists and everybody's got what we, okay. So we'll make a, we'll look over but we need this in a form of the motion of all the changes.
I'll make a motion for the changes.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard. Do we have a second?
A second.
Commissioner Pickens, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? The ayes have it. County Administrator, Mr. Rick Leary.
I have nothing further, thank you, sir.
Okay, County Attorney Stacy Manning's not with us today. Clerk of the Court, Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no items today.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner, comments or requests, starting to my right, Commissioner Lible.
I would like to read, I think all of us got a letter from our Chamber of Commerce yesterday by the Board of Directors. Did you guys get it?
Yes, sir.
But if I could read that into
Please do,
the
sir.
record, if I could. It was addressed to Mr. Leary, and it said, "Please accept this letter sent on behalf of the Putnam County Chamber Board of Directors who met today, and by formal motion and vote formulated the following position statement. The Putnam County Chamber would ask that the commissioners support the petition process allowed for charter government and not circumvent the established process. The petition process will demonstrate whether this is a wide interest in pursuing this form of government. I did not see any agenda items concerning charter government for tomorrow's meeting, but wanted to ensure that we had our statement read into the record. And that's what we've done here. And with that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'm convinced that the petition process is the way to go concerning the charter government, and I would like to offer a motion that this board accept the same thing. I think that it's too big an issue that needs a lot more traction than 5 people deciding it up here. I believe it's the right way to go, and it sounds like the public is very much broadly suggesting the same thing. So I offer that in the motion, sir.
We have a proper motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any commissioner discussions?
My discussion would be
Please do, Commissioner Goddard.
the cost. When would we know approximately what this is going to cost us?
As my understanding is, and correct me, Mr. Leary, there is no cost to the Board of County Commissioners of the county until after approximately 7,000 votes or petitions have been verified and approved. And then we would have to set up a budget, and we would have to call together a charter review commission panel. Is that correct?
Right, I believe you would not incur any cost until such time as you appointed a charter commission, if that became
And by
necessary.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir,
to
please.
Mr. Goddard, this is not, we're moving it forward.
Right,
To get to
and
that. That's a great
I
question.
assume that's what we
And
were
that's
doing.
what my motion is, to move it forward through the petition process, as the chamber folks believe, and I think you kind of heard it in public comment today also.
Yeah, I've tried to read as much as I can about this, and this is allowing the people to make the decision.
That's right.
Through a petition process, just like you did when you run for election. So it puts it into people's hands.
Okay. Commissioner Pickens? Any?
No, that's what I'd understand, and that would be the process for a charter government to come to us, would be through petitions. Fine.
My concern is the message, and unfortunately, we can't control that message of how to get the petitions. And the second one is the time frame. but I don't think we can even control those two conversation points. So we do have a proper motion and a second on the floor. Commissioners, a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Commission, the carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lowry. Okay.
Thank
to
you,
my-
audience.
To my, Commissioner Goddard, did you have commissioner comment other than?
No, sir.
Commissioner Pickens?
I just think today it was a fitting tribute to a champion for Putnam County and the Chamber, and also Rotary, Wes Larson. Wes will definitely be missed. As I said the other day in the workshop, I believe it was, my relationship more with Wes was with Rotary. When I was president in 93, 94, he was my district governor, and we formed a relationship there. So I just think it was a very fitting tribute. And also the presentation from Putnam Blueways and Trails. It's definitely a great organization that is promoting ecotourism, which is definitely a part of our whole tourism program, and really look forward to working with them.
Commissioner Stillwell?
Not very much. I think it was a good meeting today, positive. The Blue Wave Trails, I believe, is going to explode. I just got that and been checking up on it and seen some documentaries about that, the bicycling, and I believe we're going to explode here in a few years with that. I think it's going to really, we're going to be on the map because of that.
Very large investment.
Well, good.
By the state.
Well, Commissioners, I do want to encourage you this afternoon at 2 o'clock, our transportation meeting. If you have not planned on being at the Ironman, it is a fun time out there. I've been the last couple of years. I know
I'll be
Commissioner
there.
Livel's been there. It is fun. It is cold. Wear clothes that'll keep you warm, but it's a great time.
And Mr. Chairman, you know why they're there? Because of our trails.
That's right. And I want to say that last Friday, I was able to attend the inauguration. Congressman Yoho had invited me, and there must have been about 12 of us from Putnam County that I know of that went up at different times, and we flew up that morning, flew home that night, which made for a very long day. But it was a very good day. I feel like the country's moving in a forward direction. There's hope from everybody that I could see up there. And I'm looking for the same hope in Tallahassee and also in Putnam County. And it's a privilege and an honor to be your chairman. And with that said.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a reminder that the legislative delegation meeting is next Tuesday afternoon.
That's right.
In this room, and Leota Wilkinson, Representative Bobby Payne's administrative assistants here to remind us to come and participate, and just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Well, before we close the meeting, Ms. Wilkinson, would you like to come up and say any words? Okay. I have invited Congressman Yoho to attend also, so.
I know most of you, but I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Leota Wilkinson, and I'll be running Representative Bobby Payne's office here in the Palatka area. We're at the NEFAC building where the former Representative Van Zant's office was. And basically, like Clerk Smith said, we have a delegation meeting next week, and we're here to help. So anytime you need us, just give us a call.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that said, this meeting will be adjourned.